Hey, welcome back. Johnny B here with devslopes.com, and in this lesson we are going to get our slide menu working with SW Reveal, and so yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. Let's jump right into it. First thing that we are going to do is open, let's see here. Oh, looks like I accidentally created this supporting files folder outside of our SMAC project, so I'm just going to drag that right in here. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to, first thing, let's jump into main.storyboard. And what we are going to do is we are going to change the type of our view controller right here to a class of SW Reveal View Controller. All right, so what the SW Reveal View Controller does for us is it gives us a whole bunch of already built-in functionality. So if you come over here to the .h and .m files and you kind of look through here, you'll be able to see some of the stuff that you're able to do. So basically what we have is, how it's going to work is we're going to have two main view controllers, our chat VC and our channel view controller. And the chat view controller is on top of the channel view controller, or the menu view controller, okay? And so when we what the SW Reveal View Controller does for us is it does all of the work behind the scenes to kind of maintain those two view controllers, and when we do a click or a drag, it pulls out the bottom view controller so that we're able to see it, and when it's done, it just slides back in. And so it does all that kind of work for us under the hood here, so you can kind of see some of the properties and methods that we're going to be using. Front view position, left side most removed, you know, all this kind of stuff. If you jump into the .m file, let's see here, what do we have? If you come down here to the init, let's see here. If I do a search for, here we go, black color. Init default properties. So here you can see some of the default properties that the slide menu will have right off the bat, and I'll show you how to adjust some of these as you need here in a little bit. But first off, let's go ahead and jump back into main.storyboard. So we have set our first initial view controller as the SW Reveal View Controller. So now we need to add our front and back view controllers, and I just zoomed out here in the storyboard, holding down Option and moving my scroll wheel. Okay, so just a heads up. And then I'm going to pull in two new view controllers. So that one and that one. So this one up top is going to be our channel VC or the menu, and this one's going to be our chat VC. So opening up our mock-ups, just to kind of show you, this bottom one here is this guy right here, the chat VC, and then this top one here is going to be our menu with our channels and the profile options, okay? So this one's going to be the back, and this one's going to be the front. So how do we tell our Reveal View Controller which one is which? Well, all we got to do is right here, we're going to create segues to each of these view controllers. So I'm going to hold down Control and drag right here. And instead of like a show or a detail or modal, we're actually going to use one of these custom segues that we get as part of the SW Reveal files. And we're going to do Reveal View Controller Set Controller. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing for our front view controller. So I just Control dragged, and I'm going to select Reveal View Controller Set Controller as well. Okay, so how do we know which one is which? Well, if you select the segue right here, you can either select it here in Storyboard or right here in the View Hierarchy, and come over to its Attributes Inspector. What we're going to do is we're going to say right here in Identifier, we're going to say SW, and we're going to say Rear. Okay, so that lets the SW Reveal View Controller here know that this is going to be our rear view controller. Okay, and then for the bottom one, or our front, we're going to say here in the selecting the custom segue, here in the Attributes Inspector in the identifier, we're going to say SW underscore front. All right, so now SW Reveal controller knows which one is the front and rear view controllers. But first we need a couple of controller files for these. We're not going to use this one, so I'm just going to delete it. So this is the default view controller file. I'm going to delete and say move to trash. And let's go ahead and create some folders here to organize our project. So we're going to be following the MVC paradigm. Looks like we got a little bit mixed up here. Model view controller. And so I'm going to create 3 groups for each of those. So I'm going to start with controller, because if you do it backwards, then you don't have to organize things. So controller, and then new group, view, and then another group, model. Okay, so we're going to need 2 new controller files. So I'm going to right click on the controller group, go to new file, and we're going to create 2 new Cocoa Touch class subclasses of a UI view controller. So I'm going to say, make sure you got iOS and Cocoa Touch class selected and say next. And the subclass is already set for us, UI view controller. So the first one, we're going to say chat VC. We do not need to create a zip file because we're using this storyboard right here. So I'm going to say next and create. And then we're going to create another one. So I'm going to say new file, Cocoa Touch class, iOS, next. And I'm going to say channel VC. Okay, then I'm going to say next and create. All right, so let's go back into main.storyboard and hook these up. So here, I'm going to select here, and with view controller selected, we're going to change its custom class to our channel VC. So now this view controller in the storyboard view file is hooked up with this channel vc.swift file. And we're going to do the same thing here with the chat. All right, so I'm going to select, make sure that view controller here is selected, and here under the class, I'm going to say chat vc. Okay, so now these are hooked up. So let's go ahead and look at our designs again. So the bottom one, looks like we have a blue view up here that contains our menu button and a label right here. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here in the filter, I'm going to type in UI view, and I'm going to just pull this in right here, and I'm going to resize this a little bit, and let's go ahead and add some constraints. I'm going to zoom in using Option and the scroll wheel again. And right down here, we're going to add new constraints, and I'm going to pin it 0 from the left, top, and right, and give it a height of 77. So now with those 4 constraints, it is fully constrained and it knows where it needs to be at all times. Okay, so now you see that we have all of the lines blue, so that means we're good. Let's go ahead and give it a background color. Okay, so this background color here, I'm going to use the hex. Let me just grab it right here. All right, so the hex is 4A4DD8. And this is actually just a placeholder for now, because here in a little bit, we're actually going to make some cool gradient files. So you can actually pick whatever you want for now right here. Oops, I forgot to say return. All right, so there we go. And next up, we need a button and a label. So I'm going to type in button here and pull this over right here, and a label as well. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. Kind of hard to see this blue here, so I'm just going to delete the text, and this is going to be an image. So right here under image, and this is going to be our hamburger asset that we put in, and that's called Smack Burger. Okay, so right there, and that looks a little too big for us, so let's go ahead and resize this. I'm going to add some constraints. I'm going to say 12 from the left, 12 from the bottom. The width is going to be 24, and the height is going to be 18. It's going to add those 4 constraints. And then for this guy here, let's change the color to, that's not what I want. Let's change the color to white. And let's go ahead and constrain him. We're going to center it horizontally, horizontal in container. So that gives it its position in the horizontal direction, but it also needs to know where vertically it needs to be. So I'm going to control and drag to our button, and so we're going to just go ahead and say we're going to center this label with the button. So I'm going to say center vertically. There There we go. So that looks good, and I'm just going to call this smack for now. All right, so that looks good. So now the next thing we need to do is give this button an action, because when we click on this button, that's what's going to make SW Reveal slide the top one over and reveal what's underneath it. All right. So I'm going to, so we need an IB outlet for that. So I'm going to hold Option and click on our chatvc.swift file, open up our assistant editor, and I'm just going to delete some of this unnecessary stuff that we don't really need. I'm going to create a little header for my outlets, as I like to do, just a personal preference. And then I'm going to select our button over here in Storyboard, and I'm going to control drag. You can control drag from here or here. Sometimes I like to control drag from the hierarchy because it can be more accurate. And this is going to be just an outlet. You might be surprised because thinking that this is something that we want to have an action. But we're going to actually add the action manually here in the view did load function. Okay, so here I'm going to say menu button. All right, so that's an outlet, not an action, it's an outlet. And there we go. All right, so that's all the connections we need for right now. So I'm going to close the assistant editor and jump back here into our chatvc.swift file. Okay, I'm going to delete this comment. Whoops. And what we're going to do is we're going to say menu button, and we're going to add a target and an action for this. So if you say add target, you'll see here it says associates a target object and action method with the control. And you'll see here some of the parameters is a target, an action, and a UI control event. All right, so if we had done an IB action drag over, one of the things that you would have been asked is what the UI control event is, which you're probably familiar with. We usually pick touch up inside. So that's what this UI control event is. The selector is the method that is inside SW Reveal controller files that we're going to get. And the target is also going to be the reveal view controller. Okay, so I'm going to select that, and the target is self.reveal view controller. The action, we're going to create a selector here. So you say hashtag selector, and that is going to be SW Reveal View Controller dot reveal toggle. Okay, so what we've done here is we've created a selector, which is just kind of a way of saying this is a method that we are going to invoke. Okay, and then the method that we're invoking is from the SW Reveal View Controller file and reveal toggle. And if you actually command click on reveal toggle, you can say jump to definition, and you'll see here we got some comments kind of telling what this does a little bit. It says the following methods are meant to be directly connected to the action method of a button to perform user triggered position change of the controller views. This is usually added to a button on top left or right of the front view controller. And that's exactly what we've done. We've created a button, put it in the top left, and we are adding the selector method to it. Okay, and then for UI control events, we can just do dot and touch up inside. All right, perfect. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to run this on an iPhone 6s, and we're gonna see if this works. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna click here, and boom! Wow, could it be that easy? Yes, it is. So this is a pretty powerful library that we're using, and yeah, I mean that's all you have to do to get this working. We can do a little bit of customizations, make things look a little bit easier. I'm thinking that we want to be able to drag right here. You do a drag, touch drag, and it opens it. And then once it's open, if you like tap over here, then it just slides shut. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. That's really easy to do with this. So all we got to do is say self.view, and we're going to add a gesture recognizer. So I'm going to say self.view.add gesture recognizer, and all we got to do is say self.reveal view controller .pan gesture recognizer. So this is the slide to open it up, And then the tap one, let me go ahead and just close this right here so that looks better. I'm gonna say self.view.add gesture recognizer and self.reveal viewController.tap gesture recognizer. Okay, so all we're doing is we're just adding gesture recognizers that are already built into the SW reveal file. So if you go ahead and command click, you can say jump to definition, and you can see here the following method will provide a pan gesture recognizer suitable to be added to any view in order to perform usual drag and swipe gestures to reveal the rear views. So yeah, same thing here with the tap gesture recognizer. So you can tap to close it out. All right, so let's go ahead and see if that's working. Just gonna go back here, save this and run it. All right, so I'm just clicking and dragging, and hey, check that out. Pretty awesome. All right, and then I'm just gonna tap here and boom, closes. Wow, so easy to implement. All right, so that's awesome. The only thing here though is, you see there's quite a bit of space here that is being covered up for the rear view controller. And if we check out our designs, let's see here. It looks like that there's a lot less here. So let's go ahead and fix that. The SW Reveal View Controller is actually quite customizable. So let's go jump over here to the channel VC. We got some stuff we don't need here. So I'm going to delete that, delete this comment. And what we're going to customize here is we're going to customize what's called the rear view reveal width. Okay, so we're going to say self.reveal viewController.rear view reveal width. Okay, so this is a measure of how much the rear view controller is shown. Okay, so we can just to kind of show you, I'm going to say 20 here and we'll run this again. Okay, so I'm going to click this and we should only see a tiny bit of the back rear view. Yeah, so just a tiny bit. We want most of it to show. So what we're going to say is we're going to say self.view.frame.width or .size.width minus 60. So we're saying the rear view should take up all of it except 60 points. Okay, and let's go ahead and save that and run it and see how that looks. All right, so let's go ahead and see how that looks. I'm going to click and hey, there we go. That looks about right. So we're going to be showing most of the back rear view controller. All right, so that looks pretty good. We've implemented the slide menu. We have some gestures to pull it out and to tap it. We've set the back distance that we want. So yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty good. This is about as much functionality as we want here in the slide menu. Just a couple of things that I wanted to show you. If we jump back over to our SW Reveal ViewController.m file, here in the default properties, you have a whole bunch of properties that you could modify if you want. Things like the toggle animation duration. So for instance, if we change this to 2, just to kind of show you, I'm going to click on this and it should open pretty slow. Yeah, so pretty slow. All right, so I'm going to change that back. Or if you wanted to change something like the shadow radius, offset, the color, we could do something like red color. So when we open the shadow now, there's a red, or we open the menu, there's a red shadow now. It looks pretty bad. So I'm going to change that back to black color. All right, so yeah, just kind of wanted to show you how customizable it is. There's a whole bunch of methods that we're not going to be needing to use, but if you want to dig into this, there's a lot of stuff. It's pretty powerful. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. So hope you guys are digging it so far, and in the next lessons we're gonna start adding all of the UI elements like the table views and the other images that we're gonna be using. So yeah, hope you guys are enjoying it so far. Let's go ahead and add our progress so far. So let's see here. I guess I never committed last time, so I'm gonna say git commit. So git status. All right, so here we have our everything that we've changed since our last lesson. So I'm gonna say git add dot git commit dash m. I'm going to say end of lesson 2. All right, so I will see you all in the next one.